So, guys, welcome to a finale podcast interview on the Autistic YT radio show. And so today, guys, we are interviewing a autistic YouTuber with over 140,000 subscribers, and his name is called the Aspie World. Welcome, Aspie. First of all, hope you're doing okay.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm doing really, really well. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good, thank you.
Excellent.
First of all, it's second of all, it's an honor to have you to let me interview you. It is.
My pleasure.
You are autistic yourself, aren't you?
I am, yeah. I had a diagnosis of Asperger's syndrome, yeah.
All right. And you have your own YouTube channel, which is all about like autism, like talking about autism and such as like fitting into like the environment, etc. Which to talk about your autism first. When did you first found out that you were autistic?
Well, it's interesting. The official diagnosis happened when I was 26 years old, which is quite a long time for, being alive and kicking with a condition for that long. It's undiagnosed. But my parents knew there was something amiss, obviously, when I was like 3 years old. So they took me to all types of therapies and different doctors and stuff. But it was late 80s, early 90s. And where I live in Wales, there was not many, accredited autism. Well, there was none at all. Nobody knew anything about autism, so they couldn't diagnose me. But I learned of the diagnosis officially when I was 26, and that was a shock because it was the first time I'd ever been introduced to the term autism, because I didn't know what it was until that point.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit about autism. Mm-hmm. See, because it's quite a small community still, like you could probably go up to someone and say, hey, do you know what autism is, like for a normal person, if that's correct statement to say. Some might say, oh, sorry, we don't know what autism is. It's just like, in some ways, it's still a small community in some ways, like to understand autism, because there's quite a few different terms out there. It needs to be explained, and with what you're doing yourself, making videos about autism, it's such a great awareness. Now, you're welcome. Talking about a little bit about your channel now. First of all, how did you came up with the name The Aspie World?
I have no idea. I wanted to. I'd heard the term Aspie being thrown around because I had Asperger's syndrome, and I just didn't want to use, the Asperger's syndrome channel because I feel like it was such a mouthful to say. And literally, about 3 or 4 months after I was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome, they took it out of the diagnostic criteria and replaced it with autism spectrum disorder. So it was a bit of an odd one to kind of use Asperger's syndrome again moving forward. So I was like, huh. And then I heard the term Aspie, and I thought it was a cool, fun, like cutesy, like name to use. And I thought maybe I could call it like, because I wanted it to be about, talk about my life and so my world. And so I just thought the Aspie World because I don't know why, I just thought it would be cool. So
if you had to say, how long? Like, when did you? How long have you been doing YouTube now?
Well, I uploaded my first YouTube video in 2013 for the Aspie World, but I didn't actually do anything on the channel until 2015. I decided to start uploading quite regularly, just because there was more and more people subscribing and they wanted to know more. And then in 2017, I really took it seriously, and then we are where we are today. So yeah, since I'd say since 2015 properly.
I did also manage to ask I managed to ask some of my station, some of my listeners from the station, Faithful Media fans, some questions. One of them said here, how in the world do you even have the strength to upload that knowing people could bully you because doing that, they know that you're autistic?
It's a good question. And, I was scared at first to do it. Uploading videos and putting yourself out there in a public sphere was a very difficult thing to do because of that scrutiny from public opinions and bullying and stuff. And then I heard a quote by, I think it was Taylor Swift. She said that there's no such thing as haters, just people who need a little bit more love. So I was like, oh, that changed my perspective on hate. And then so I decided that if I was to not upload the videos that I deemed important for people to know, then there'd be nobody, no parents and no caregivers would really understand what I was talking about, right? Because nobody would be uploading those videos. So I thought, for a little bit of insecurity from me to get past that insecurity, I could actually help a lot of people. So I decided it was worth just taking the gamble and just doing it. And do you know what's funny? Because the hate comments are so minute, all the positive, happy comments kind of just flood them out. So you don't even really see it. I think the weird stuff is like sometimes you get like hecklers in the street. I mean, because most of the time I get people wanting to take pictures of me and stuff, and they'll notice me from videos and they'll want to just talk, and say hello. But then you have the negative of the people who just want to make fun of you because you're kind of well known on a social media platform, and that's kind of hard, I guess. That's difficult, but it is what it is, and you just have to deal with it, I guess. If you want to do that kind of thing, it's a sacrifice you make, really.
There you go. Just got somehow push it to a side and just.
Yeah, you focus on what's important.
Yeah, true. That's the main important thing. In terms like when it comes to like making a video, which usually some of your videos go on for like roughly about 10 minutes at least.
Yep.
How long does it take to record like a video?
Oh my goodness. So it's funny because there's two parts really. You have the creation of a video and then you have the actual recording of a video. So to record one video takes ages. It takes like an hour because yourself when you're talking to a camera or talking to a microphone, there's going to be loads of times where you want to stop and correct yourself and you might say the wrong thing and you're thinking one thing and you're trying to say another thing. I've kind of perfected it a little bit now, doing it for so many years. So like the past 5 years I've been doing it like hardcore, but it definitely takes ages because I'm editing out bits and pieces and I also get really bad gas. So I start like burping when I'm recording videos. I don't know what it is, like a nervous thing. So I have to keep editing out myself, just kind of having these like complete effortless burps that are just literally anxiety and nothing else, which is really, really bizarre. And it's funny because when I work with like TV and stuff, I always have to say like, sorry guys, you have to edit out the burps because it's just like my anxiety. But in terms of planning a video, I take about a day or so to create an idea and a concept around a video. And then I then take another couple of hours. So in terms of like actually making the video, it takes about like I'd say 40 minutes to an hour to actually make the video, but then I take the same amount of time to create the blurb, like the context of part of it, which is like the video description and all the tags and metadata that goes with it, and then I take about an hour to make the thumbnail as well, which is kind of like it's really important integral part of it.
Yeah, one of the questions that were asked by that a fan asked was from golden_VR. Next question, as someone else has said, it says, do you like pie or cake more?
Do I like pie or cake more? As in pie kind of 3.14, or am I talking like pie that you eat?
Like pie you eat, like you eat.
Okay, so I would say that I prefer pies than cake because I don't like sweet things as much as I do like savory things.
All right. One other question is asked by, I think this person's called Jamie RR. He says, I was always interested how a life of an autistic person or YouTuber is. So that's one of the first part of the question. So basically, how interesting is it to live a life as a popular autistic YouTuber?
It's it's really difficult because you are constantly having to do podcasts and interviews and meetings and working with brands and working with managers and traveling around the world. I did the first ever neurodivergent panel and VidCon in LA last year. I did the same in Comic Con in London 2 times last year as well. And there's a lot of traveling, doing keynote speeches. It's very it's exciting because you get to do a lot of fun things, but it's also very draining and it's also very triggering because all of those things involve travel, and travel is one of my triggers. And it's not something that is easy to do, but I always kind of say to myself that if I don't do it for these people, then nobody is, you know, from my perspective, as in like I'm the only one who can tell my stories, right? So
Yeah.
it's interesting. It's difficult. It is difficult, and it is a bit of a stress. But I do enjoy the work I do, and yeah, the best job I've ever had. So there you go.
All right. To follow up for the next part of the question from Jamie, he also said, "What inspired you to be a YouTuber in the first place, or who inspired you?"
Sure. There was no real like it kind of came about by accident. Like I never manufactured it to be a YouTuber. So
Hmm.
I used to love back in the day in like, 2000 and oh, okay, it's really weird. Let me tell you a little story. Back in 2008, I had I had an operation and I was in a wheelchair for a little bit. And because I was
Hmm.
kind of like basically chair bound, I couldn't go to work or do anything. I was just sat at home and all I had was my MacBook. So what I did is I started recording videos of me just logging my day in like a diary format, just talking like a Dear Diary moment to my computer. And then
Yeah.
since doing that, I uploaded those to YouTube and you can still find them actually. I'm not going to tell you what they are because they're just really embarrassing, just videos of me
That's
talking
fine.
about my day. But yeah, and I did that, and then I never thought anything of it. Back in 2008, nobody had any subscribers. There was nothing really going on YouTube, and it wasn't a thing, But then, if we fast forward to 2000, oh god, when was it? 2013, that year. I made a friend with a guy called Benji Travis, and Benji Travis is a really big YouTuber. Him and his wife vlog their day. They're called it's Judy's Life is the name of their vlog, and so they're really really big. And so I met them in Ireland when my girlfriend and I went to see a YouTube kind of like meetup thing that they were doing because my girlfriend was really into watching YouTube videos. And then I just hit it off with Benji, and he said to me like, "Hey, you should totally do something on whatever your passion is." So then I was like, "Okay, cool." So I took his advice, and he said just put videos on the things that you're passionate about. So I just decided to make videos on talking about autism, really, and that's really it. So nobody really inspired me, and it was never something that I thought would be a career. But when I was after I'd uploaded those like video diary moments to YouTube, I'd seen the epic mealtime videos on YouTube, and then I thought to myself, "Oh, that's really cool." So I started uploading like just stupid weird videos to YouTube of like me doing silly things like the Mentos and Diet Coke experiment, and then just funny skits really, and they got loads of views, but I didn't know what I was doing, and I was like, "Oh, I could totally make this a big channel talking about stupid stuff," and then I didn't do, and it didn't work. So I decided to just forget that idea that I'd never want to do YouTube. And it was really funny because then by accident, the Aspie World started picking up steam. And I thought, well, I'm going to have to carry on doing this because people want that information. And I loved helping people. So it changed my focus. And rather than wanting to build a channel just for the sake of having a channel that was putting out content, it was more like I wanted to build a channel to help people. And then that really took flight. That was a key in the process of growing a YouTube channel. It was the reason, the why. And there's a very famous book called Start With Why. And I don't know if it's a Dale Carnegie book, but Start With Why. And the book asks the questions that anybody who's building a brand, that you have to start with the question, why do you do what you do? What's the reason for what you're doing? And my reason is that I didn't want anybody to feel alone like I did, growing up. And I didn't want parents to even feel alone. So it's not just the people on the autism spectrum who will feel alone from time to time, which I don't want them to be, but it's also the parents, they might feel quite secluded and isolated. I don't want that. So I just wanted to be a place where people could come and hang out, really.
Just a few more now. Just a few more.
Sure.
First of all, first one, because you were saying you travel a lot.
Yeah.
Which how does that affect you with your day-to-day life, like of your autism, like because being autistic, it could probably take a big hit to you sometimes, like with no like people crowding around you could probably make it your autism kick in. Like how does it feel like that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I was just literally, I was typing out a video about autism and travel anxiety and how to reduce these things. So, there's a few things that I do, and there's a few parts to it. When I first started traveling, I didn't have any tips or tricks up my sleeve. So I was completely I was like a nervous wreck the whole time. I was sweating. I wouldn't like change out of the clothes I was in. I wouldn't get comfortable for a plane. I'd just wear clothes that were tight, and I just was get on the plane. I'd just kind of in the airport, just hold on my bag and just kind of really tighten up, and I couldn't relax in the situation. And then I just got onto the plane. I was sweating the whole time, just sitting there thinking, come on, just get to the location, get in the car, and then get to the hotel room and kind of breathe. You know, it's like holding my breath that whole time, which was no good. And it would stress me out. So I went to San Francisco, and there's a little mini series on my channel of like 3 or 4 videos when I went to San Francisco for my 30th birthday with my girlfriend. And you know, it was great, but when I got there, I had sores on my mouth because I was like so anxious and my body was just kicking back, you know. So what I do now is a few things. I realized that you know, you have to make your environment that you're in as comfortable for you as possible and forget everybody else, right? That was one of my biggest issues of worrying about everyone else. So now I travel in like pajamas, like I'm wearing like, you know, like tracksuit bottoms kind of thing, you know, like cotton pants, like a baggy hoodie, just hair, whatever, no jewelry or anything like that. You know, I just travel as comfy as possible. And then I have noise cancelling headphones. I use the AirPod Pros at the moment, and I do have some Bose ones, which are amazing, but they're a bit big to carry around. And that helps with the anxiety because when you get the headphones in, you can put the noise cancellation feature on, everything becomes silent. I do that a lot when I'm in the airports themselves, just waiting to board, you know. And then in terms of the other stuff is like, one of the main things that I, you know, talking about like day-to-day life, I like to have my routine. I like to have the things that I like around me and do those things, right? But when you're traveling around, you're in with other people's timings, and it's all a bit weird, right? So one of the things that I try to do is I wanted to try and live my life as minimal as possible so that I could fit the minimal reality of my life within a suitcase. And I could live out of that suitcase as comfortably as possible. So I have a minimal wardrobe of clothing, and I do everything that I used to have like gym memberships, but that got too overwhelming. And, you know, so basically what I do now is that when I travel, I make sure that I can do any exercises in my hotel room that I need to do to work out. I locate the stores before I land so that I can go to the store, buy the things I need so I can bring them to the hotel room and get myself ready, you know, to rely on anything else or any bookings or anything like that. And I get everything ready within that kind of, I call it like the luggage case scenario. Where I could live out the luggage case because I've already prepped all those things, and planning was the key here to successful traveling. But it's still huge, you know. I have to take medication to do it as well. That's a massive part as well. I'm quite medicated when I travel, and you know, it's a stress because I'd rather enjoy the travel, but it's difficult because of the condition, you know. So
talking about this lockdown as well, which has been because due to the COVID pandemic that's been happening across the world, which now is coming up to Christmas as well.
Yeah.
You're going to be getting like those that are panic buying and the Christmas shoppers all together. Now, I went into my local Tesco's just a few miles out of town. Because I live in a village, you see. Now, going into there, it was a bit stressful because I feel like they didn't mix too well together. Now, how are you finding lockdown yourself at the moment?
It's horrible, isn't it? Like, it's very difficult because on one hand, it's a little bit quieter because people are at home doing stuff, so it's a bit nicer. So when I go out jogging and stuff, there's less people around, and I really like that. But on the flip side, the places that they are congregating are the places where you have to go to get your groceries. So I think, you know, Tesco's like the worst one, but luckily for me, Aldi just opened up across the road from Tesco, and it's like a really big, like fancy Aldi. I mean, it's like a super huge one, and it's got all the mod cons, and so everybody's going there now, and everyone's doing their Christmas shopping and stuff, and they're panic buying there. So Tesco's actually really quiet. So I'm actually lucky that Tesco and like Lidl and stuff are quite quiet because this new, you know, the new boys on the scene. It only opened up on the 15th of October, so I'm lucky. But before that, everything other than fresh groceries, because we're vegan, so we buy a lot of fresh fruit and veg. Everything other than that, I buy online from Amazon. Like even packaged noodles and crisps and things, we just buy on Amazon. We haven't sent to the house because, you know, if
that's good then.
Just a better way of dealing with it.
Well, that's definitely handy then, big time.
Yeah.
Oh well, I can't think of any more questions.
Sure.
Which I don't know if you have any questions yourself.
No, I think I'd just like to, maybe I could just end with saying that, like, you know, I think that everything that we do as autistic people, when we advocate, when we're doing podcasts, radio stations, community groups, or just helping inform friends and other family members of the condition, it all helps. And nobody should ever feel embarrassed or ashamed of who they are. They should be empowered by that difference, because that difference means that you're super cool. And I love that, because it makes the world what it is. And yeah, and I also have a free book, an ebook download for life hacks with autism. So if anybody wants to download it, you can just go to autismhacks.net. That's autismhacks.net, and you can download a free book from me, because yeah, I just love to help people, and it's a really cool way of doing it. So yeah, I think that's everything from me, buddy.
All right, that's fine. Do you want to mention any of your socials very quick,
Yeah,
of
sure.
where
So
everyone can find you?
of course, my friend, you can get me on every single social media platform, and it's just at the Aspie World, which is just at symbol TheAspieWorld. You can get me everywhere: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, and YouTube are like my main channels. But I also have TikTok as well, and well, everything, absolutely everything. You can any platform that's available, I'm on it. You know, so even all the live
That's
streaming
fine.
platforms as well.
All right. Well, guys, I will leave those links in the description down below so you can all check them out, including with Aspie World's latest book, if I'm not mistaken, it was.
Yeah.
And yeah, Aspie, I appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to let me interview you for part of my finale podcast.
Amazing. It's my pleasure.
It's been a huge honor.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for everyone that's listened. And yeah, thank you again, Aspie.
Well, thank you, man.